This clock say 6:17, and welcome to our special meeting, September 1st. Are we ready, Madam City Clerk?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mayor Yedame, Vice Mayor Dazume,
Here.
Councilman Galvin. Here. Councilwoman Timothy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Oh,
I'm also present.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was waiting. No, she didn't see
Councilwoman, Councilwoman Estimate Irving.
getting your foot wet
Present.
again, Ms. Dr. Thomas.
Doctor. Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Thomas. And now we're going to have the number one chief in the county,
Country.
Chief Larry Jariga, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, let's
I would
start.
ask everyone to please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we're going to have invocation, followed by Pastor John Gironato from North Miami Police Chaplain.
Pastor Vasquez is going to join us this evening.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this privilege. I would like to read a word, and it's always a blessing to be over here. And this is on Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 14, 15, and 16. And it says, "But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, and that you mayest do it. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil." 16 says, "In that I command thee the day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply, and the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither goes to possess it." Thank you, Lord, for this prayer, and thank you for this opportunity for praying for the city of North Miami and for this meeting. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Madam Manager, do we have any deletion or amendment to our agenda?
No, Vice Mayor, we do not.
Thank you so much. Okay, special presentation.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Miguel Augustin, Finance Director. And this evening I'll be doing the third quarter finance cash report. That's for the quarter ended June 30th of 2022. All right, so on this slide, it presents the balances of the accounts as of June 30th compared to March 31st, which was the previous quarter. And it just shows the change in terms of dollar amounts and percentages. The daily investment account, which is the city's main operating account, had a balance of $61,861,149 at the end of June, compared to $49,993,510. That's a difference of about 11 million, increase of about 11 million over one quarter over the other, and that's primarily because we got the second round of the American Rescue Funds. That was about 9.6 million. So we got that at the beginning of June, and that accounts for that huge increase. The other accounts are relatively flat. The utility account is the same. Flexible spending account, the replacement benefit account, those are relatively flat as well. Those accounts, like I always say, are just benefit accounts that are claims based. So the activity that they have is just a result of the activity that the claims activity that they sustain. The lockbox account at Wells Fargo is the account where people make payments for the utility bills. It's a zero balance account, so the balances come in and it gets deposited or swept into the main operating account. So any balance that is at the end of the month is just a timing difference of when there's either a deposit that hasn't been swept into the main operating account. The restricted account, 3.1 million. Those are the funds that we have in the Wells Fargo account. The difference is just interest that we've earned through that period. Fortunately, interest rates are going up, so we are getting a little bit more yield than we were earlier in the year. The City National account, the landfill account, that's the one we use to service the Munisport landfill. And that one is, there's been no activity except for the interest that was earned. And that was 2,000 over the quarter, over the 3 months. The other investments, the certificates of deposit, all the interest was deposited to the main operating account. So these are just the principal balances, the $500,000, $1 million. Those I have them right now on a 6 month maturity, just to not lock ourselves into the low interest rates. Since interest rates are expected to rise, I didn't want to lock us into any low rates for a longer period of time. And the same is true for the Truist account, the Truist CD account, which is formerly the SunTrust account. There was a small interest earnings over that time period. So that's an account that we have actually to do something about, to maybe transfer those funds into something that's more high yield. As a matter of fact, just on an anecdote, we are revising our investment policy so that we can structure our portfolio to be a little more high yield, a little more modern, so that we can take advantage of some of the high interest rates out there. So that's something that's in the works. We'll be rolling that out shortly. Okay, so just really quickly, over that 3 month period, like I said, we had an $11.8 million increase, and that was, as I said, primarily a result of the ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan funds that we received in June. The rest of the months were relatively flat. I mean, the inflows, and I present here the inflows and outflows by month, and I compare what we actually received, or what we actually collected, what we actually paid out, to a 3 month average of what we typically do for that particular month. So, for example, in April, the inflows were 7.7 million. The inflows for the average past 3 years was 6.7. So, in that month, we did about 964,000 more than we usually do in compared to previous Aprils, in other words. For April's outflows, we had 8.5 million compared to what is on average 8.1. So we had a little bit more, 479,000 more than we typically do, 5.9%. For May, that was a relatively flat month, although the inflows were just slightly below the average, 49,000. The outflows for May were 6.1 million compared to what's usually 7 million. So there was less money spent in May, last May, compared to other Mays. So June was the month where we had the huge spike in the increase because of the 9.6 million we received from the federal government. And the outflows, we had $8 million in outflows compared to what is typically 7.3. All this to say, the main change, the big change in the account balance was really just the American Rescue Funds. This slide here presents the balances as of June for the past 3 years. Just to highlight the daily investments account, for June of this year, it was 61,861,000. In June of 2021, it was 43,660,000, and in June of 2020, it was 29.9 million. So you can see from year to year to year, the balance has grown significantly. And that's in large part to the fact that we got the American Rescue Funds, as well as some of those one-time cash inflows that we had from cash, from sales, from land sales. But those were in 2000, in fiscal year 2000. I say this to say that though the balances are increasing, well, they seem to be increasing very, in large magnitude from year to year. We just have to be mindful that it is one-time money. We received the second of two allocations from the American Rescue Funds. So we do have to be conservative in terms of how we spend the money. Any questions?
Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Miguel. Okay, any questions?
I do have one.
Councilwoman?
The amount that's in restricted, is that from the sale of Gwen Margolis?
No. Actually, the Gwen Margolis had not happened yet. So Gwen Margolis actually closed in July. So that'll be in the fourth quarter.
So we are going to be in receipt of that, and that's where we'll see the funding from that sale deposit into that restricted account.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
Councilman Galvin? Councilwoman?
No, thank you so much for the presentation. It was pretty clear. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Miguel, I have a couple of questions. I'll try to make them real brief. If you could explain, in the same balance in 6/30/20, 6/30, 2 years from now, in 2020. So if you look at line, I guess the total from Bank of America, it almost doubled.
Right.
Is that? I know the American Rescue Plan. That's not. That can't be.
That's a big part of it. Because remember that.
Okay,
those
how
2
much
years,
do we get from
19?
them? Is it 19 or
19.3 million over the 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
not
No,
Is
we
it-
got the money.
And
nine-
9 this year.
oh, and that's still part of that 18. Okay.
Correct.
The next question is regarding the saving in the Bank of America. No, the City National Bank. So for
Yes.
the last 2 years, that money, from the 8.1 to the 5.8, have we been using that, or which? If you could explain that line item, that's on
Okay.
City National Bank.
All right. So that account is used to service the landfill remediation, right? So it's the Muni Sports site. So these are the remainder.
municipal? You mean Biscayne Landing? Is that what
Biscayne Landing, exactly.
You just said that. I'm like, that's a 200 years term. Okay, all right. Okay, municipal. Okay.
So this balance here represents just what's left from the grant that we received from the county.
Okay.
And as the funds have been used to remediate the site, so that Solemia is the one, they've been
That's
doing the
what-
remediation, and then they submit invoices to us. And as they clean up certain portions of it and they're able to build, they submit invoices to us to reimburse the cost of associated with cleaning up the site. There has not been a lot of activity from year to year. Actually, it's slowed down quite a bit. In the past 6 years, we used to get packages from them all the time, but now we haven't gotten anything this year, and I don't think we got very much last year as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
I do have one more question.
Yeah, me too.
Do you guys look at any other, I guess, type of accounts? Just throwing one out there. I know City of Miami has Miami Coin, and they made 5.2 million from just putting, investing some of the city's money in a cryptocurrency.
Oh,
I know. I'm not saying that we should go cryptocurrency, but hey, they did make 5.2 million in their city's coffer. But do we look at other types of accounts, maybe to put some of our money in, maybe like a CD and so forth? I see we have some, but just to kind of generate, especially since interest rates are high right now.
right, and that's what I had mentioned. We're currently working with PFM, some consultants, to to modernize our investment policy. It hadn't been changed since 2001. So it was generally in compliance with state statute, but there have been changes to allow different investment vehicles that we weren't taking advantage of. So, right, I'm working with them now. We have a draft, and they're also going to give us a, given our cash flows and like what we have in terms of excess cash, to be able to put that into high yield, low risk, liquidity. I mean, not low liquidity, high liquidity investments that work with our cash flows in terms of when we need cash to service our debt, to pay for operations and so on. So City of Miami has a lot more excess cash than we do. They can afford to put
Play with the millions.
some into crypto, and they also have a mayor who's very crypto savvy, and he really is pushing that. But we don't have enough to be that bold or that aggressive yet. Maybe hopefully someday we will get to that point, but not quite yet.
No, thank you. And the reason why I mentioned that, because I know Clark Reynolds, who has worked on our North Miami Educational Foundation, was able to take $150,000 and reinvest that money, and that's why we were able to service so many students throughout the year with just an initial $150,000 investment. So that's the only reason why I mentioned it. And shout out to Clark. Thank you for all that you do for our Educational Foundation.
Right.
Thank you. And Dr. Stephanie,
Okay.
the
Thank you.
mayor, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right.
The second presentation. The budget, no, Scott.
Good evening, Vivian Cao, Budget Director for the city. We're going to be discussing now the third quarter revenue and expenditure report covering the period of October 1st, 2021 through June 30th of 2022. For general fund revenues, the total, what happened? The total general fund revenues collection for the periods were 73%, mainly due to other taxes, including local option tax, communications tax, and franchise fees that are processed and they lag by 2 months. Non-revenues account for the interfund transfers from the enterprise departments, and this will be posted by the end of the fiscal year. For the general fund expenses by departments, under non-departmental expenses reflect 11%, spent for the period primarily due to the budgeted capital projects which have not been expended yet. We have encumbered the funds, but we haven't been paid out the vendors yet. MOCA expenses are 47% due to expenses that will be fully reimbursed by the city by the end of the year. When we look at the general fund expenses by categories, capital expenses are lower than budget due to projects being in the design phase, and we have encumbered the funds, but we haven't paid out the vendors. Grants expenses for the periods are at 47%, since grants are reimbursed after the expenses are incurred, including the reimbursement that we have to send back to MOCA. Reimburses for the period reflect 53% of budgeted expenses due to transfers to pay for the obligation bond that will be paid at the end of the year. For our enterprise funds, which include the water and sewer, water, fire flow demand, and the stormwater revenues, these will be recognized when the payments are received. Under our special revenue funds, the ARPA funds, the last payment of the ARPA funds were received during this quarter, and this was the last payment out of the $19.3 million that we got allocated. CDBG, NSP, and CHIP grants are usually reimbursed after the expenses are incurred. Under miscellaneous grants revenue, we received the last reimbursement from the CARES Act. For transportation funds, the half-cent source tax expenses for the period are reflected at 29% due to capital improvement projects being in the design phases. Under the Internal Services Fund, that includes the risk and the fleet management that receive revenues from departments to cover the cost of the premiums and the administrative charges for claims and vehicle maintenance. The final transfer of funds will happen during the last quarter of the year. And for our pensional repayment, expenses will be posted at the end of the year. The revenues come from the other departments. Are there any questions?
Question?
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
No, go ahead.
No. Thank you, ma'am. I just have just two quick questions for you, ma'am. In reference to, I know you mentioned I think MOCA, we understand the 47%. In reference to the 59% for community planning, CPND, can you please clarify that? Why is it so low in reference to the other ones that are 70%?
Under community planning and development, we have some vacant positions. At some point, we had the director for the department that was vacant. We do have now a director, and that didn't happen. And then the director is leaving also a position behind vacant.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that was it. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any more
other question?
questions?
I see no.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, real quick.
Wait, give them.
1 second. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, real quick. In reference to the salary, the expenses, the personnel services is at 75%, while the other, is that normal?
Yes, because not only under personal services, not only salary and fringes are included, it's
Oh,
also
okay,
including the general payments to the liability funds.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? No? Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and today's a special council meeting, and I'm not late because I've been under the impression that the meeting starts at 7. Okay, now, city events. Do we have any city events? No? Thank you. Appointments? No
No
appointments.
appointments.
Let's move to the consent agenda. Comprise
There's no consent.
no consent.
Move approval?
There's no consent.
no consent.
There's no consent agenda. Let's move to tab A.
Tab A, a proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the reappropriation of the allocated American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, revenues as attached in Exhibit A, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab A.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Tab A is open to the public. Any questions? 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Public hearing is now closed. Council members, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
One quick question, Madam Manager, in reference to what's happening with the ARPA plan, are we part of the immigration thing that we had, not part of the, oh God, what is the program
Is
called?
that money gonna be allocated to address immigration issues?
Yeah, some of that with the, I think is
So
it you that I mentioned?
there was an
too?
earlier program about immigration that
safe.
we were going to do with like the legal services, but then they did something on their own. There's still like a free allocation if that was to come back up again, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Is there other questions? Yes,
Question.
ma'am.
So did we add any new programming to the, because I know we approved these before.
So these are all pretty much the programs that we had approved prior. It does include 2.5 million, but that is, the programming is actually connected to paying out funds of programs for the coming up fiscal year. So last year, we had contributed 5 million to this budget. This year, it's down to 2.5. It's not reflected as lost revenue. It is reflected as specific programming. So one of the things you're allowed to do is to supplement your staff that you took out before. And we're using a portion to supplement the park's part-time staff in there. So that's technically a program, but it's not with programming. All of those are going to take on a cost that equals a 2.5 outside of the cap of the 10 million lost revenue.
How much for the staff? I'm sorry, how much for the staff?
So for parks was about 850,000. We're bringing back the part-time, yes.
If there's no question, can I hear motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor made by Councilman Galvin, seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irving. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0. Tab B. A proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the selection of Co-Engineering Builders LLC as the lowest responsive and responsible contractor to perform the Northeast 126th Street Parking Construction Project in accordance with the terms and conditions and specification contained in invitation for bid number 63-21-22, further authorizing the city manager and the city attorney to negotiate and execute an agreement with Con Engineers Builders LLC for the provisions of services in an amount not to exceed $200,239.18, providing for an effective date and all other purposes.
Thank you very much. And, I believe that's the outside parking for the Scott Garden Community Center that we talked about previously, and now we're able to get the 200,000 to build that. Let's open it to the public, unless it's outside parking on the street. And how many parking?
That is correct. I believe it's between 30,
Your mic's not on there.
42
Sorry, 42 parking.
parking spaces.
Yeah, outside parking just to help with people using the community center, the Scott Garvin Community Center. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open. Yes, can use the mic, please. Thank.
I am the property manager for.
Use the mic. Yes.
I'm the property
Say
manager.
your
for-
name and.
My name is Orlando Arrom, and I'm the property manager for 12550 Biscayne, which is right on 126th Street.
Mhm.
And I'm here to thank the commission, the mayor, especially Commissioner Galvin, and the police department for the patience they had while we had all the parking problems because of the garage closing. And we want to thank you, and we tell you that we appreciate what's going on with that construction project.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
patience.
Thank you. Public hearing still open. On tab B, public hearing is now closed.
Move approval?
And I second that.
We have a motion on the floor made by Councilman Galvin, seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irving. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Tab
Thank
C.
you.
Tab C, a proposed resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the execution of a landscape, irrigation, and turf maintenance memorandum of agreement between the city of North Miami and the Florida Department of Transportation, designating and setting forth the responsibilities of each party with regards to the maintenance of future landscape improvements on State Road 916 Northwest Northeast 135th Street, from Northwest 6th Avenue to SR 5 Biscayne Boulevard, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab C.
Tab C, and Mr. Pierre-Louis, just a quick question, unless council members have other questions. You bring it before us already. It's about 6 Court or 6th Avenue, no?
No, well, this is a different location. This was brought up years ago. What happened is there, a few years ago when it was brought up, the project number changed, but this is something that had already been approved by council. There's a resolution, so what they're bringing out is FDOT requested that number change so they can move forward with their project.
Can you
So
see
that's
what
what it's
changed?
based on.
What have been changed?
It's a project number. I can
Okay, okay.
let them,
Yeah.
and they, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, they do have a presentation as well.
Okay.
Good evening, councilmen and women. My name's Todd Mueller. I'm with a consultant who works for the Department of Transportation, so I'll just give you the basics of this project. This is a landscape beautification project on 135th Street. I'm assuming that you have the graphic up in front of you, and you can see that it runs from Northwest 2nd Avenue to Northeast 17th Avenue. It's about 2.5 miles along 135th. This project will landscape medians that do not exist today. The construction project that is currently underway. If you can go to the second slide. There is a construction project currently underway that's installing a very large water main and as well as other roadway improvements. That's being managed by the county. We don't know when that'll end, but this landscape project will follow it and landscape the medians that are being created by that project. So for clarity, there are, I believe, 17 new medians that are being created. As you can see in the graphic, they are all proposed to receive landscaping. If you want to hop to the plant list page, the design of the medians, as well as all of the plant material that's being proposed for those medians, was coordinated with the city. Jeff Geimer over at Public Works, as well as Augustine, for all of the species selection and the irrigation controls and practices and operations. The next slide, some of the important dates to note related to the project. This landscape project is scheduled to let in July of 2024. That means the DOT will put it out to bid and solicit bids for construction. So again, that's July of 2024. Installation is expected to begin in the fall of 2024. Construction is estimated at approximately 6 months. So that'll take us into the spring of 2025 when the construction would be over. There is a 2-year establishment period that's part of the landscape contract, during which time the contractor is required to maintain all the new landscape material, the irrigation system, and everything. So after the 6 months and after the 2 years, that essentially takes us out to the spring of 2027, at which time the city would be required to take over the maintenance of the project. So,
Thank you very much.
I think that's all the high points.
Yes.
I'm going to try to be kind with this. Thank you, Mr. Muller, for being here. This project, this ongoing project on 135th Street is a disaster. Point me in the right direction, because everything's from I-95 all the way east to Northeast 16th Avenue has been down to one lane for quite some time. We sadly had a fatality for somebody walking across the street. I get asked 3 to 5 times every week, when is that project going to be done? I can't seem to get solid answers. Do you know? Is this, from what you're telling me right now, this project is ongoing until 2027?
No. The project that I'm speaking to you about has not begun construction. It will follow the project that you're describing.
Right. So when that project is done, when? 2024, did you just say?
That project is being managed by the county, not the DOT. Baoying, do you have any other information related to that?
Yeah, that project has been going on for a while,
Yeah,
obviously.
I know.
With this standalone project that we're presenting it to you tonight, it's because it would require a memorandum agreement with the city for you to maintain the landscape that we're going to install.
So-
But at the meanwhile, we have been coordinating with the county closely and monitor the schedule as it goes.
So when I get what I understand the separation of duties. I understand what you're at here tonight asking for. I care about the long-term big picture. The construction on Northeast 135th Street that is ongoing today, and if staff has a better answer, I'm thrilled to hear it. When is it done? When will people be able to travel 135th Street from Biscayne Boulevard to I-95 without road closures, lane closures, and other obstructions?
I wish I had an answer for you.
Yeah, I can
don't.
get a more confirmed answer maybe at a later time and get back with.
Tomorrow?
Surely.
you can understand, I get beat up on that project, and it's not a city project per se, it's the county, it's FDOT. You know, okay, we can take it ownership in 2027 when it's time for us to take over the landscaping, but that's the, constituents don't care about difference between governmental entities. They care that, you know, they're having to be one way, one direction, head on against each other, nighttime, poor lighting, lanes change. The Titanic was a disaster, so this isn't a disaster. This is a horrible mess. So I've emailed Ms. Jorgis, who I think is the FDOT PR person. Haven't heard anything back in a while. You know, I need something to share with constituents. And then if it's true, you're telling me it's another 5 years before this project is finished. Yeah, I got to approach this from a different direction as a
The
county.
landscape project, it's following the construction
Right.
of the 135th
So
Street.
we're in the year 2022. You told me the construction is going to end in 2024, and am I
Gonna start. That's a
misunderstanding?
new project that's gonna start.
And then your part starts in 2024 for the city to take over in 2027, i.e., 2022 to 2027 means another 5 years.
So the landscape project will not, I can't speak to the roadway project, but for the landscape project, you will not see nearly the magnitude of disruption that you have right now, building all the infrastructure. So it'll be a much faster and a far less intrusive operation for the landscape.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you might indulge me just another minute or so, does staff have
Go ahead.
anything they can share on this horrible mess?
Good evening, Mayor and Council, through the city manager. Councilman Galvin, I do have an update. The latest update that they provided us states that the project will be completed in April 2023 for the current project.
So these guys will start in April 2023, or there'll still be another year and then they start?
Based on what I've heard, there'd be a year where there would be no activity. So April 2023, the current project ends, and then this landscaping project starts in
Do you have that in writing somewhere?
Yes.
If you could send it to me, I'd like to be able to post that on all my social media. I'm literally getting 3 to 5 complaints a week on that project, and you know, I'm ashamed because I don't have any control over it. So any opportunity I get, you're not the first person I've sort of hollered at about this. I really want us to start to bring that to a conclusion and be sure of it, not tell people April 2023 and then, well, now it's June and there were delays, it rained, and you know what you follow what I'm saying? I mean, I get it. There might be a hurricane, might be 20 hurricanes. If we're going to tell folks April 2023 and you've got that in writing, please, let's keep to April 2023 and not. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any other question? No. Thank you, sir. Let's open it to the public. Tab C is open to the public. Tab C is now closed. Is there a motion on the floor?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin to approve the item at tab C. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab D.
Thank you.
Tab D, a proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the execution of a landscape and turf maintenance memorandum of agreement between the City of North Miami and the Florida Department of Transportation, designating and setting forth the responsibilities of each party with regards to the maintenance of future landscape improvements on State Road 915/Northeast 6th Avenue from Northeast 122nd Street to Northeast 146th Street, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab D.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Whistler Pierre Lewis, Public Works Director. Again, through the manager, I'll just read some of the background into the record, and I'll allow FDOT an opportunity to present the project. So this is a beautification project along 6th Avenue from 122nd to 146th Street. The state will construct landscaping and turf improvements according to their design plan and project number. This landscaping is an enhancement. It will enhance the safety and the beautification of that road. And this MMOA, this maintenance agreement, is to establish the responsibilities between FDOT and the city of North Miami. And a few items that are included as part of their scope is repaving and restriping the roadway, reconstructing any damaged sidewalks, curb and gutter, modifying the raised median islands from 135th Street to 145th Street, upgrading signing and pavement markings, upgrading pedestrian signals, and improving the lighting at the mid-block at Northeast 136th Street. At this time, I'll allow the representatives from FDOT to go through their presentation.
It's landscaping, it's on, from 122nd to 146 is about the same thing, like. That's open to the public. Tab D is open to the public unless there is a question. Tab D is open to the public. Public hearing is open on tab D. Do you have any question on the dais about
Sure.
the landscaping project?
Is this our friend from FDOT?
Good evening.
Guess how I'm gonna bring this up, so.
I am the consultant. I am the engineer of record for this project. The project manager and the DOT is not here, but the representative from FDOT is Boeing. In particular, just one clarification. This is a roadway project, what DOT calls a 3R. The scope is, as mentioned, is a million resurfacing of the roadway. It's a rehabilitation, improving safety elements, improving ADA curb ramps, replacing some of the damaged drainage inlets. But in addition, we are introducing some safety improvements at the median island from 135th to 145th at 5 different locations. We are extending the existing island to basically improve safety, essentially. And in these particular areas, we are proposing some minor landscape work. Essentially, the work is provide landscaping that is similar to the existing. And I had a presentation that I did. I don't know if you can just take a quick look. If you have any questions, no?
So here are my questions. Obviously, great. I love new landscaping. Love it. Is this going to cause road closures at 135th and 6th where there are already road closures? How will that affect the ongoing till 2027 project of Northeast 135th Street?
This project in particular, along Northeast 6, we have a project, what we call a project exception at 135th, because that particular intersection was completed with, like I think, a few years ago in 2018. So our project essentially has like a gap at that particular intersection. So we are not going to have any work or any road closures, lane closures along 135th.
Will they start at 136th?
Correct.
Okay,
North of,
so-
yes.
I'm sorry, what street will they start on? I'm sorry.
This project is Northeast 6th Avenue.
Right,
Okay.
going north and south on
Correct.
Northeast
Both
6th Avenue,
directions.
which I recognize is a north and south street.
Yes.
Starting at which street, going north to 147?
We had this project starts basically begins at the
122nd.
south of 123rd. We are actually introducing some improvements at that particular intersection. Then we had a gap, and the project will start again on north of 128th and goes all the way to 145th.
I have high staff, I have serious concerns that we're gonna have major intersections in this city torn up for the next 5 years. It'll be for the next council person to deal with, but I like the improvements.
Scott, you know when they revisit Dixie Highway, that's been since they have a new a new plan for Dixie Highway. That's when they have to redo the median
Right.
in order to close 128. You remember we're gonna close 125th
Right.
and open to 128. That's when they have to redo the landscaping in that area in order to.
I get that. I like the new landscaping. I like the improvements. I worry, though, that I'm not trying to think of this all in a vacuum. If they're going to be concurrent projects, we all drive these streets. How absolutely frustrated will we all be having to deal with traffic on Dixie and here, and then get to 135th Street and wait now that's 6th Avenue, and it's a lot. So please be mindful of that, everybody, as you make these wonderful improvements.
Just one minor comment on this one. It's going to be the duration of the construction is going to be 10 months.
Right. But
So it's relatively
what's
quick.
a year or two? You follow where I'm coming from. 10 months is 10 months for this project, but then you couple it with the 3 months or the 10 months that we still have to go on 135th Street, and then the 2 years that you're going to do on, it's a lot. And we've had lane closures on 135th Street for a good 2 years, easy. So, I'd love to see FDOT dedicate some. We go weeks and weeks with not seeing a single construction person out on 135th Street. No trucks, no people. It's just lane closures. I'd love to see FDOT take this project seriously. I don't feel that they do. I'm shutting up now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Can I have a motion on the floor for tab D?
Move for approval?
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin to approve the item at tab D. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I just realized that Vice Mayor Desilme is not here. Mayor, do you want
Let me
to
go
wait?
check,
or
see
is
where
that-
he-
No, we got him. Let's move. We'll record the vote if you show up. Did we record the vote?
Yeah, I mean, he's right.
Huh? No, if he show up, when he
Okay.
comes back.
I was joking when I said somebody go find where he is.
Oh,
I was joking.
All right, so the item passes at 4-0 for the time being. We'll call the vote after.
tab E now.
Tab E, a proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders to Allied Universal Corporation for a one-year term in the aggregate amount not to exceed $107,000 for the purchase and delivery of liquid sodium hypochlorite for the Winston Water Treatment Plant utilizing Martin County RFB number 2019-3133, providing for an effective date and all other purposes.
Tab, thank you very much. Tab E is open to the public. It's to buy sodium. Tab E is closed to the public. Any questions? None? Can I
Move
have a
for
motion?
approval?
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin to pass the item at tab E. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, can I get your vote on tab D, please?
Yes, yes.
Tab D
F.
passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you. Tab F.
Tab F, a proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the execution of a food supply services agreement in substantially the attached form between the city of North Miami and Victory for Youth Corp., doing business as Share Your Heart to provide and deliver food supply and facilitation services to the city of North Miami Food Pantry in an amount not to exceed $120,000 and 0 over 100 cents, providing for an effective date and all other purposes.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Public is to buy food supplies for the pantry. Is it that mean that's the only suppliers we're gonna hire? We have?
Currently, that was when we needed to get specific items that we were looking
But
for.
they're
Yeah.
not the only suppliers, right?
No, we buy some other supplies.
From
but
other
for
places?
certain-
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
but there are
Okay.
certain things that have been
Specific thing.
difficult for the supply chain.
okay.
So we had to order from them.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Tab F is open to the public. Tab F is now closed. Is there any questions? Can I have a motion on the item?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab F. The motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Desamay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab G.
Tab G, a proposed first reading ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Volume 1, Goals, Objectives, and Policies of the City of North Miami, 2036 Comprehensive Plan, specifically by adding a new property rights element in accordance with Section 163.3177 Florida Statutes 2021, and Article 3 entitled Development Review, Division 3, Section 3-302, Sections 3-1104 through 3-1107, Section 3-1109, and Section 3-1110 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for repeal, conflicts, severability, codification, and for an effective date. Tab G.
Thank you very much. A quick presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Derek Cook, the Director of Community Planning and Development. As stated, this item is an amendment to our land development regulations, specifically our Comprehensive Plan 2036. The intent of this is to meet a criteria that the state had presented to all counties and cities to put in language in their land use that we should have as a purpose for property rights, that to respect the judicial knowledge and constitutional protect the private property rights and ensure private property rights are considered in local decisions. Already in the context of our code, when we do any kind of development, land development changes of such as from the change of uses for the code, we take this consideration in. But this is to codify this, and the purpose of to do this is to allow for us to have amendments to our land regulations. Specifically, we had recently come before the council was the combining of the pools. The state wouldn't accept that until we accepted this this amendment to our land development regulations in our comprehensive plan. And that's what it is. If you want to go into the specific text that just talk about specific language, specifically we acknowledge, as I said, the constitutional protection of private properties. This is going to be added to our comprehensive plan on the goals and objectives and the policies, to consider designations for the rights of property owners, physical possess and control of his or her interest in the property. Another policy will be introduced as we make decisions that take in consideration the maintenance and the development and to improve his or her property. And another policy that the city would make decisions for the right of the property owner to exclude others from their property to protect the owner's possession and property. And final policy that we will have, the city will make decisions for the property owner to dispose of his or her property as they see fit through sale or gift.
Thank you very much. Let's open tab G to the public. Public hearing is open. Public is now closed.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab G. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab H.
Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to speak in favor of, object to, or comment on an item, please complete a public speaker's card indicating the agenda item number on which you would like to comment. You must be sworn in before addressing the City Council, and you may be subject to cross-examination. If you refuse to submit to cross-examination, the City Council will not consider your comments in its final deliberation. Please also disclose any ex parte communications you may have had with any members of the City Council. City Council members must do the same. If you'll be speaking today on any one of the items, could you please stand up at this time and be sworn in? If you have completed a speaker card, you're welcome to also bring it up. And for those of you who have not, please complete one and bring it up as well. Public speaker cards could be found in the back. Acting Deputy Clerk Stephanie Thomas is in the back with some. Yeah, you can bring it up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please rise and raise your right hand. I solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you agree, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
So Mayor and Council Derek Cook with the Community Planning. The item that we have before you is in combination
Tab
with
H that you'd like me to read for you now?
and if we could do tab I as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Tab H, a proposed quasi-judicial first reading ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, amending volume 1, goals, objectives, and policies of the city of North Miami 2036 comprehensive plan, specifically changing the future land use map designation from community facility to central business commercial for the subject property consisting of 2 parcels of real property totaling approximately 6.4 acres in size, located at 776 Northeast 125th Street, identified with Miami-Dade folio number 06-2230-019-010, and an adjacent parking lot located on the east side of Northeast 8th Avenue, identified by Miami-Dade folio number 06-2230-039-0040 in accordance with section 163.3187, Florida Statutes 2021. And Article 3, entitled Development Review, Division 3, Section 3-302, Sections 3-1104 through 3-1107, Section 3-1109, and Section 3-1110 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations. Tab I. A proposed quasi-judicial first reading ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, amending chapter 29 of the city of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations at Article 1, entitled General Provisions, specifically at section 1-106, entitled Official Zoning Map, revising the zoning designation from PU, public use, to C3, commercial, for the subject property consisting of 2 parcels of real property totaling approximately 6.4 acres in size, located at 776 Northeast 125th Street, identified with Miami-Dade folio number 06-2230-019-0010, and an adjacent parking lot located on the east side of Northeast 8th Avenue, identified by Miami-Dade folio number 06-2230-039-0040 in accordance with section 166.041, parentheses 3, parentheses capital C, Florida Statutes 2021, and sections 3-1002, 3-1003, 3-1005, through 3-1007, and section 3-302 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, declaring the zoning map amendment to be consistent with the city comprehensive plan, further authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to effectuate the zoning map amendment, providing for repeal, conflict, severability, codification, and for an effective date. Tab I.
Thank you very much. Tab H and I.
Thank you. I'm Derek Cook with the City of North Miami Community Planning. Items that we just read in, you have 2 items here. You have a land use amendment and you have a zoning amendment to our code. This is related to our P3 initiative in the downtown area to revise the downtown area through a series of infrastructure projects, including the design and construction of a new city hall and a police station, expansion of the existing Museum of Contemporary Art, MoCA, a mixed-use opportunities such as ground-level retail, workforce housing, hotel, and other supporting infrastructures through the public-private partnership, P3, to provide maximum flexibility and activation of the subject properties. And it is necessary to the current land use designation from community planning to central business. And it's also to change the zoning map designation from PU, public use, to C3, commercial, to allow for mixed use, residential, retail, community facilities, and maximize the height to 150 feet. So currently, what we have is for the properties located at 776 Northeast 125th Street, and as was stated immediately to the east of us, the parking lot, which was indicated by the folio number, the property is designated as community facilities. The land use will be changed to central commercial, and the rezoning will be from PU to C3. The current situation for the land use, you have a maximum height of 55 feet, and it's limited to public use. The land use amendment will allow for a height of 150 feet. The rezoning will allow for a height of 150 feet, and it would allow for a variety of uses, commercial, residential, hotel, it was stated in the introduction. This foundation, through this land use amendment in the rezoning, will allow for the facilitation of the P3 initiative that the city is seeking to do, which will bring about the initiative that we could have somebody come in, bid, and make their presentation and rebuild the area, bring in the city hall, bring in a new police station, and other amenities to the downtown area.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. HNI are open to the public. It's within the downtown. All we doing is rezone the area to allow multiple uses.
Hi, my name is Ileana Albarran, and I live in 849 Northeast 121st Street. I understand that as politicians, there's nothing better than to say that you added workforce housing to your community. You renovated City Hall, expanded the MOCA, and also renovated the police building. The question is if this is the only and the best proposal to achieve those noble ends. Is it the best way for us to move forward to sell or change the zoning over very limited public use land to commercial, selling it to a developer so that they can tear down our city hall, rebuild it, and rent it to us in the future? The best way to renovate our city hall? Is commercializing this property the best way of expanding our MOCA? Is selling, gifting actually, public land to a developer so that they can make some money out of it, entrusting them with providing affordable housing in our community, the best and only solution to provide for resolving the much problematic affordable housing crisis that we're facing? I urge you to think that if you've considered all the alternative strategies to meet those noble ends, consider them, and can genuinely say that this is the best way to advance those noble causes. If you have not considered alternatives, then I urge you to vote no. There's no hurry to move forward with changing the zoning, a change that is irreversible. I urge you to vote with your conscience, to think if you can genuinely say this is the best proposal before you move forward. Once this is done, you can't go back. We have very little public use. We have very limited public property.
Thank you very much.
William Prevotel, 12,000 North Bay Shore Drive. I'd like to second the comments that were just made. Very strong support. For 10, 15, maybe more years, we have had meetings here, community workshops and the rest, where we've talked about the downtown area. And we've had word balloons and such on the wall, and we've had surveys and collections and exchange of ideas, and it's gone on and on and on. And one of the things that was pretty much concluded is that we should have this downtown, this civic super block. We already have City Hall, we have the police station, we have MOCA, we have a public plaza. There's just very little remaining from that, not to include in this civic block. And as I've said many times before, south of Mocha, where there's just open parking now, could be structured parking to serve all the municipal buildings. And we don't need to take down City Hall itself as a building and then be relocated for a period of years. We need to just build between the commercial area and the police station, mirroring Mocha, to create a new City Hall. If you do this, if you accept this and we wind up giving away the property one way or the other to the private means, we will water down that concept. We will make something completely unable. If you have the vision, please have the vision to create this area for ourselves, for our city, for the future of our city that we can build into. Are we going to sell this property and then wind up buying it back at 10 times as much? Because that's kind of happened around here before, where we wind up paying more than what we could have had in the first place. As I've said many times, the parking lot to our east, in this direction, that is such you have control of the height and the density. If you want to make it 10,000 foot high and whatever the density is, the 5 people up there have that power. Hold on to it. Let's do a public search for a Fortune 500 company. Get proposals from everybody, and you guys select what it is. You guys can call the shots, and it can bring enormous income to this city and rejuvenate downtown. Thank you very much for your consideration.
John Chisholm, 850 Northeast 123rd Street. The city wants to build new offices to replace the small wood frame buildings and aging City Hall. That seems worthwhile. But the city has no cash to pay for them, and the city's residents can't afford the higher taxes it would take. So the city is looking for a big project developer to pay for it. The developers only do things when they can make a profit, a big profit. So the city wants to offer big project developers the chance for a big profit by letting them build 450 apartments 150 feet tall on land set aside only for public use. The city government management gets what it wants. The developer will use the city's financial troubles to play us for what he wants. Another major step toward a big developer's dream. As sea level rises and drives people from wealthy neighborhoods, the high elevation of North Miami will become the ideal location to displace our current hardworking multicultural residents in favor of an eventual gentrified, wealthy, white enclave that few of the current residents will be able to afford. The only ones who will get hurt are the city's residents. Many other towns in America have faced comparable financial pressures, and some have even figured out how to become solvent without selling out their residents. It is possible. But our politicians seem too busy thinking up slogans of being for the people to take the time to actually learn better ways of helping current residents. Without learning better alternatives, you turn to the only people who are proactively offering money, big project developers. Not smart, not wise. At each new development, the city says our infrastructure for water, sewer, and traffic can easily handle the additional strain. Then they come back later, like they did a few years ago, and say they desperately need us to approve a bond to pay for the city's crumbling infrastructure. Both can't be true. Was someone lying then? Someone lying now? Please, rethink this flawed approach. Learn a better way. Thank you.
Thank you. Derek, can you come forward, please? What do we have before us now? What do we have before us now?
What we have before you is a land use amendment to change the land use from community facility to commercial, central commercial, and a zoning change to change it from PU public use to C3 commercial.
What area? What area? Okay.
So as it's seen, hopefully that's the area, sir, which is the existing plaza that we have right here and the parking area to the east of us.
Those two areas.
Yes, sir. It's approximately 6.4 acres.
Only city or
This
no Mocha is not included.
Mocha is a part of it, yes, sir. Police station.
What is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of redoing it?
So this is for the P3. So as we're putting out the P3, and we're going to be receiving responses back from the RFP, the developers, we've been speaking to the developers at making sure that the zoning is ripe for doing development in the area. So most
Why
of the,
don't we wait to, based on the proposal that we are receiving, to rezone?
So piggyback on the manager, the intent is to provide a foundation for the developer, whomever gets the bid, to come in and be able to do the work. So it makes it advertising for them. If we have our infrastructure, such as the correct zoning, already in place, so they can say, okay, this is viable. The land is of a zoning that we can come in and do the multiply uses. We can have the city hall, we can do the police station, we can do the affordable housing, and we can also introduce a commercial element in the area. And if they see that we have prepared for that, then it entices them to be able to say, okay, this is a viable solution to get in a partnership with the city to do this.
What about if tomorrow in the plan we decided to keep City Hall here? To keep City Hall here, what do we change it to commercial?
So by changing the commercial doesn't preclude us to keep City Hall here. It just gives us more flexibility on the property for other uses.
Okay. You have any more public hearing before we move forward? Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here, all, and you, council people, and Mr. Mayor. Hector Medina, 1270 Northeast, 124. This project is premature. We're not ready for this. Go back to the drawing board and come for something that you consulted the public. This is not to change land that is public use to private. It's always a step that should be taken carefully and with the input of professionals. At this point, I don't see that. So I urge you to vote no.
If I may, Mayor,
No, let's public hearing. After
There's
that,
still
at
more
the
people
end.
to speak.
There we have more.
After that, let's.
William Welsh, 2032 Northeast 120 Road. I'm listening to this proposal to change this land from public use to private. To me, it's kind of crazy. What are we doing to our citizens to have City Hall, have our police, have all our other building officials, community things? I know the building needs to have some work, but I'm sure there's a lot better way to figure all this out. Steinbridge is selling his property. You could zone that to have multi-housing. There's so many places you can do housing, affordable housing. We don't need to change the land use for this from public to private, because City Hall and government will be priced out of this land. And where are you going to go? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have submitted public comments. Madam Clerk.
Yes. Dear Councilwoman Timothy, Mayor, council members, and City of North Miami team, we just learned that there is a special council meeting today to be held at 6 p.m. We are surprised. No one we have been in contact with was aware of any public notifications regarding this special meeting today on Thursday. Thus, it appears that this meeting has not been advertised properly. Normally, meetings are posted in the Neighbors Herald. On Sunday, August 28th, a special council meeting for Tuesday, August 30th was posted in the Herald. Why wasn't a notice for the Thursday, September 2nd special meeting posted at that time? We will be posting on Nextdoor to evaluate the community awareness of this important meeting to be held today, Thursday. Tab H, I, and J cover changes of the zoning of a huge parcel of 6.4 acres referred to as community facility zoning. The plans changing to business commercial zoning impacts tremendously upon the community. Those proposals remove from the citizens to private interests. The proposed changes will be impacting not only the surrounding neighbors, but all of District 2 of North Miami. Once the zoning is modified, there is no way to come back to the original zoning. Perhaps those items mentioned above should be tabled until the public is properly notified. Respectfully, Dr. Eduardo Santos Lima, on behalf of the community. There was no address listed.
I think those items are
Was there an email? I'm sorry.
too important to go just. Why don't we table this?
I do want to, for the record, state that this was posted in the Miami Herald on page 16 for August 28th, so it was properly noticed.
No, we're not. Is there any question?
I do
Is
have
public,
I don't
is public hearing closed?
Yeah.
Well, I still had another one.
Oh, you have more? Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
So the only thing, Mayor, is that it seems that this person submitted it for tabs H, I, and J, so I'd like
Yeah,
to
that's
read it
fine.
at once, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Because it is condensed into one. As I'm unable to attend tonight's meeting, well, first, John Barry. He didn't leave a clear address. Give me 1 second to see if he has an address. Okay. 849 Northeast 121st Street, North Miami, Florida 33161, John Barry. As I am unable to attend tonight's September 1st meeting, I am writing as a resident of District 2, who both works and lives in the city of North Miami, to express my absolute opposition to the planned rezoning or conditional using permitting of 776 Northeast 125th Street, including current City Hall and Museum of Contemporary Arts as a commercial property, as per tab H, I, and J of the agenda. First and foremost, the current Mocha Plaza, which is effectively the lot being referred to in this proposal, is clearly the most valuable assets that the city, and in particular neighboring District 2, has in terms of quality of life for residents. The monthly and always well-attended jazz and many other cultural celebrations held there, as well as the museum itself, bring immeasurable benefit to the residents and their entire families in terms of culture and sense of community. I have taken my son there since he could walk. We sit out under the Christmas tree each year and attend nearly every jazz concert, festival, and art opening. It is an integral part of our lives and our neighbors as residents of the city and our neighborhood. Indeed, it is one of the few things, perhaps only, which makes District 2 what is intended to be a cultural center for the city. If this is lost, the heart of the city will be decimated. And if council members and mayor vote in favor of this, they are in no uncertain terms selling out the district and indeed the heart of our city. They are not building the city better. They are not working to make our wonderful, diverse city a better place to live. Most importantly, if it is rezoned to commercial and put up for bids by developers, there will be no going back or changing course. And our Main Street USA will forever be gone and replaced with unabated and profit, not community-driven development. Alongside this sentiment, there are both clear questions which effectively undercut the validity of this proposal and equally clear negative outcomes that one could confidently pose if this lot is converted to a high-density residential lot. First among the questions is, where will City Hall go? I certainly understand the city's concern that the current City Hall is in need of repair and improvement, and I would strongly support any initiative to fund renovation and repair of the building. I would even support a new building in the same location, but it is indeed the location, specifically in the downtown, as the municipal center of the city, which is essential. It is my understanding that the plan is to build a better City Hall elsewhere, but there have been no details given as to where this would be. And one can only conclude that there is no actual plan to rebuild a City Hall, let alone a better one. The question of where the new City Hall will be located must be answered before this proposal to remove it as approved. This is not a question which can be answered later when the decision to rezone has been made and the lot has been sold off to the highest bidder. There will be no going back. Similarly, the context of the proposal, as expressly stated in the opening paragraphs of the proposal, says that this is aligned with planned expansion of MoCA. How? How is demolishing MoCA going to expand it? The current MoCA is an integral part of the architecture of downtown in addition to the cultural value it brings to the city. Both this wonderful architecture and cultural value will be lost if it is moved. And moreover, if it is moved, where will the new MoCA be located? Where will the equivalent cultural centerpiece be in our city? Again, the question of where the MoCA will be and what it will look like in the future needs to be answered before this proposal can, in good conscience, be approved. Finally, in addition to these important questions, which, again, need to be sufficiently answered before this proposal could be approved, there are serious concerns as to the outcome of the change in use, outcomes which one could easily imagine, and specifically what the proposed high-density housing would mean in terms of the impacts on both the downtown and neighboring communities. The planned change in use is expressly being proposed to enable commercial development and specifically high-density affordable housing, and more specifically, as per the proposal, up to 450 units. This number of units would be an utterly unmanageable density for this lot. However, we can be certain that developers would do all they can to include as many and up to this amount as they can. Even with annexed parking lot, There would be no conceivable way the number of residents could be accommodated in terms of parking, and surely our beautiful residential neighborhood of District 2 will become overflow parking. With even a fraction of this number of units and given the size of the lot and proposed building, these will be one-room shoebox units at best. While the need for affordable housing is understood, particularly given the current rental and real estate markets, affordable housing can't come at the expense of quality housing. Building hotel room size units, which are not livable for families, is tantamount to building tenements in our downtown. History has shown us over and over and over again that this approach to housing only breeds slum living. While they make for hefty profits for developers and possibly quick fix short-term solution to housing for financially disadvantaged residents, they do not allow for quality of life for families who reside in them, and at the same time do not improve the communities in which they are located. They do the opposite. One does not have to go far to see examples of this all around North Miami already. In fact, the city has had to invest millions in trying and failing to revitalize these previously built, similarly high-density housing units. It would be ludicrous to think this would be any better. As I said, these high-density tenements are a good and profitable investment for developers, but a terrible strategy for cities and communities who should be looking to be better. North Miami should aim to be a place where people want to both live and visit. Working toward this is, indeed, the mandate for the council and other city officials, and this proposal does nothing but enable the city instead to sell of its most valuable parts and sell out its voting and tax-paying residents for the profit of developers. Nothing more, nothing less. I would strongly urge the council and mayor to oppose this catastrophic proposal. It would not only be devastating for the district and city as a whole, but frankly would be a dereliction of duty as city officials and their charge to make North Miami a better community in which to live. Sincerely, John Barry.
I'm sorry, what was the name there?
I think I can speak again. John Barry, John P. Barry, PhD.
And Dr. Barry, is there an address that?
Yes, so it was 849. No, that's Ileana's. I'm so sorry. No, it's 849 Northeast. I'm sorry, yeah, it's 849 Northeast 121st Street. And then, of course, the Marine Science Building at FIU is on the email.
Thank you. Yeah.
I have a question, Mayor. Madam Manager, when are we going to start the outreach component for the P3? Because I feel like I've been getting calls as well about this, and people they believe that this is, hey, once we change it to CU, we can never go back. We're not going to have MoCA. You know, MoCA's going to be gone. City Hall's going to be gone. And there's a lot of miscommunication going out there in fear of this project. And I know that that piece was supposed to be moving along so that the public can be informed and public outreach and meetings, so that once we're having these discussions, we're not hit with the roadblock because no one knew this was coming.
I've been working with the Economic Development Director to bring an outreach contract component. So we have spoken to a few. There's some outreach through the Business Summit, but obviously we can see that we need to do way more outreach. So those will be coming shortly in the next couple of meetings.
I remember since the first time we talked about the P3, it's over a year we talked about that, and the residents have concern about changing that. That's something that should be explained to them way before we come up with this, and I don't know.
So there was a question on the floor that stated that if we change it to P3, that it would no longer be, I guess, public use. Is that correct? Like, I just want it on record.
It won't be titled public use, but that doesn't mean you can't have a public use on there.
You can't
So
just
there's a
have park.
portion of that land that is actually going to be used for the new city hall. So it's not as if I put it as commercial, it takes out PU. It's quite the opposite. If it's PU, then it leaves out a lot of other uses, but it's not the other way. So the notion that it's a tear down of MoCA is not correct, is incorrect. And the notion that we won't have a city hall in that area is incorrect.
But that's why you need the outreach. You shouldn't come here, present that before us, and the residents should be able to ask this question and have the questions answered way before we come here.
Yeah, because I know there was a bond.
Yeah, that's
and
when we've been saying
there was a
that,
lot of
and people are under
conversations
the
that were-
impression that we're gonna turn everything to commercial, and maybe one day we're gonna sell it piece by piece.
I have a
You
question.
done?
My last question, will this delay the draft RFP process? Because I know the draft RFP is out currently.
This would delay moving the process. Part of it was that we were going to at least have, we were planning to put it out in early October. And the idea was that knowing that we would have had these designations changed is one of the things that many of the developers in conversations, when we've gone out and had the summit, have been concerned about to show the seriousness of the P3 project. We would still plan to put it out. It may or may not have an effect on responses. More than likely, I know that we have our consultant, WT, on the call, and they should be listening in, and they can answer to that. Jose from WT, if you are on.
Yes, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Wait, I think that's not what we are discussing right now. We're talking about the residents is not aware of how we're moving forward with the P3. That's mean is the outreach component. We're not.
No,
we're
I
not
wanted to
there
know
yet.
would it delay?
The question was the zone.
But even if it's gonna be delayed, the resident is not aware of that. That's mean if we have to delay that, I don't see any problem with that. That's me.
Can I?
You done?
No, I thought we were gonna wait till he answers with BDO.
If it's oh you
Yeah, I wanted to hear his answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question
Cut
for
him off.
hello?
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and City Manager, and residents of North Miami. Just to clarify a couple things, the reason why for the change is that the PU classification limits the height of the building to 55 feet. A C3 zoning would allow a higher building of 150 feet, I believe. That doesn't mean that the public buildings are going away from the city hall block. It just allows the flexibility that the city needs to build a taller building. The city needs inherently a larger city hall. Not effectuating this zoning change at this point, we believe that it would delay the RFP process for the RFP that's currently out in the streets. Yes.
It's on this.
Okay. The draft is on the streets. My last question, and maybe not for BDO, but for staff, have we or will we rezone, or will we need to rezone additional areas to include the commercial around where the P3 is taking place, so along 125th Street, so that other businesses and entities can partake in this transaction if it moves forward?
My understanding, and Mr. Cook might be able to correct, but the other areas do have commercial available already now, because it is a downtown area. So that's why we have like the Cafe Creme and those areas around and the businesses in that area. Specifically, why ours is PU is whenever we have a public building or we have our own public use, then it's usually PU.
And right now, that zone forward, that's already C3?
So yes, if I can piggyback on the manager, what we are really doing is extending the existing C3 that exists in the downtown over the city's property. That's what it is, an expansion of what is already here.
Okay, so along downtown is already
Mhm,
C3,
mhm.
correct. Thank you. That was it for me.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, when this first came up, maybe a couple months ago, my initial reservation to the proposal when we had our meeting was in regards to the price. Who's going to pay for it, what was going to happen, because we haven't got that, because that's my biggest concern. I do believe if people from everywhere throughout the city, and I don't think this is really a District 2 matter, this is a citywide issue, because if you understand what they are asking us to do here, this does not only impact, it may be located in District 2, but this is the foundation of the city. And I think there's nobody in this city who doesn't think that, A, we need a new city hall, or B, there's can be some improvement to do it. I think the question that I have been wrestled with is the process in which, how we do it. And I did not like this process from the get-go, and I think I've spoken to staff, it's problematic, because we have to have, and I totally agree with the mayor, the people that was here 2 nights ago, you would have had the folks from District 4, District 3, if they understand what we are asking to do. And as a steward of the voters, I cannot consciously say I'm going to vote for something to change the public use to do a development. That if we want to do that, and I've asked and I've said to the manager, I want to be the leader of making sure we go back and ask the public from Keystone all the way to the west side, to Sunkist Grove, to get a referendum, to get anything, but the public needs to know what we are doing, how much it's going to cost, or what we are doing. It may be that option, whatever that option is, the availability payment, whatever that, but I do not feel that I have enough information, or the public have enough information that they'll be paying for this many years to come for me to make that decision. But tonight, if they are asking me to change 6 acres from public use to commercial use, whatever the case is, those issues are valid, and we got to understand the public has to guide us. And I think Councilwoman Timothy is correct in terms of the public relation on this thing needs to come forward. So until then, my support, I'm just saying it outright, even if it's back on the agenda, I cannot support this until I know that the public, now I don't mind voting against, something, because if I said I will do what I said I would do. But honestly, this is not the right way to do this, because we don't even know how much this thing going to cost. So what if we change it, it's $200 million, and then we stuck. And then I think you said, Madam Manager, so it's the opposite, so we will still keep it as a public use if we do change the text amendment? If we don't do nothing?
What I'm saying, it is an allowable use for us to have a city facility on that.
Oh, okay, on that particular property. In terms of MOCA, do we keep, so if a developer, let's just, Mr. Cook, if a developer comes in with the whatever acres, now I do not mind to change the parking lot. That I'll vote for if it's split, but this property, because we don't have much we own, because we've been selling a lot. So we got to be careful, because I don't even want to give alleyways away to people that want to buy it. So we just have to be careful. That's all I'm saying to my colleagues. But my vote tonight is a no, because I don't even think half of the people here even knew this was coming up. Thank you.
If we can defer it until we can maybe have a public meeting.
Until not just the public. That's when you
The
need to
PR.
bring a community outreach component, so people know exactly what it is, where we're going, and that's the way I
And
see
did I
it.
see the RFP for
Yes.
the 9
Okay.
went out as well? The other RFP, Madam Manager?
So,
We're gonna let this.
Was there another
Done?
RFP that's out?
And-
Yes.
Oh, that one went out
Also-
again? Okay.
Yes.
so I just have a question in terms of timeline, because majority of us did agree that we put a lot of pressure on administration to give us a timeline to do this P3. So now I understand the reservation that I'm hearing tonight. So what I would like to understand, Madam Manager, how does this affect the timeline? So if we do an outreach, how long will it take to do an outreach? How far back will we put this? Could you explain that, please?
So an outreach was to start just a little bit earlier and concurrent with it going out, and obviously this item in terms of making the change, which has brought up concerns, would if we're deferring it, you know, it delays it, we'll go back with the team to see what date we may put that out. But the idea was that we would have started the outreach just before we're kind of putting out the main one, so we could have like a business summit and actually talk about some of the details just before it went out, and then let it continue as the process is going. One of the things that we had been doing with the consultants now is we couldn't really put anything out until we started thinking about what the scope was, what everything is. And so the draft RFP is out there, and obviously there's other concerns about confusing, but coming up with that scope was something that we needed to figure out with information, working with the consultants.
So another question, why is it important to change the zoning tonight? Why can't we just put the RFP, let the developers come up with, and we may change it at a later date. I'm just asking, why does it have to be tonight? And why can the developer know that there's a possibility of zoning changing depending on whatever plan they have for us? You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So why is it important? And if we don't do this tonight, can we still have the RFP and still be on time?
I don't think we're going to be on time.
Why would we
but
not be on time?
What I want to answer that question in terms of why would we want to do the zoning change, we're going to be asking for groups in the P3. It's not just developing the property, but it's also the funding all at that time. So knowing what they can present, what they can provide, and what's going to be available is important to those that are going to be responding. I can't say for certain it's going to stop the response, but I think it's a
Right.
conversation to have with the team. Do we even want to put it out if we haven't done that? And I think the other concern is whoever's looking is going to say, will we get it? Because currently, if they don't know, particularly with the public meeting currently now, the question becomes, will that actually happen? So I think that's also a concern or something to think about. So we would go back with the team. You know, I think obviously based on what we've seen tonight, if the council wishes to defer it, we're going to go back. We need to push
so-
forward quicker the outreach
So
and try to get something as soon as
But
we
a quick
can.
So
question.
here's where I'm a little confused. My understanding is that this was to entice. This was to entice. So if we have language in there, even if we don't do the changes, but we have language in there that says that we will do it. We are open to doing it, and
In the
we will
RFP.
do it. Why can't we do it that way and still be in time? That's my question.
I think that
Is that a question for BDO to say that?
Wait, can,
Oh.
that's, can she finish? Please.
So I think when we put this out, we want to give it the best chance to have the best response. And so that's where that comes into play. So we would like to put it out to know that we're going to get the best response. I can't tell right now how developers might react to not making the change tonight. So I think I'd go back to our consultants and talk through that opportunity. We will push forward on the public outreach and bring it back, and hopefully the council will be
Madam
more
S-
comfortable.
I remember when we went to multiple conferences about the P3, they said you need 4 components, and one of the most important one is for the public to be aware of everything and for the public participation. That means you don't have that in the P3. That's when we keep doing it, but the public component is not there yet. That's when you have to sell it to the public for the public to buy it. We don't have that.
We agree.
It's like you've been doing everything, but you missed that part.
We agree, but we have just had a scope that we could actually speak to with the consultants. So we had to
It's not
create
with
a,
even when you were choosing the consultant, you should have that from the beginning. The marketing part. And we expressed that from the beginning, and we missed the boat. That means not just you have a financial analysis, you have that aspect to do all the surveys and things like that. But at the end of the day, you need the marketing company that's going to sell the product to the public and for the public to buy it. We don't have that. It's like we keep moving without the community, without the public, and we don't know at this point if the public want it or not.
That's the key, Vice President.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Manager, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm a little puzzled. I believe we have something that is under the cone of silence. The P3 that we are doing at the other park, and of course we're not going to get into the detail, but it's my understanding, and I'm looking. Well, Miss Warren, you I was looking for Jeff. Miss Warren, you could help us out. It's my understanding when we were discussing this, and then even at the public meeting that we had, and folks mischaracterized the plan, that we had put that out there where we didn't change the use, because part of the question when we were talking about changing the use, because Jeff, the attorney, Mr. Cazot, had said that if it was, at one point we thought it was the park portion, which was the public portion that we were going to use, that it would have to go in front of the voter in terms of a referendum. So since this is, what's the difference between the park and Mocha Plaza in this one? That's the first question. The second question would be, if let's just say we don't have any referendum, we could do it here. But yet we did put out an RFP, and I'm looking at Mr. Estrada here somewhere. That does, oh, how you doing, sir? That proposal does not have, and I think to the mayors, and I think council member, both council members mentioned it. We did put in the RFP that, and we had people that respond, that we would be open to change it, if needed. So either somebody need to correct the difference, or I need some clarification between those two, because I need to know the difference. Why is the changes needs to happen from this 6 acre and the 9 acre over there?
Okay, so to answer question number 1, which is the difference between the referendum requirements,
Mhm.
Vice Mayor, the downtown
Is
piece.
your mic open now?
Yeah.
It
Is
is.
it
It's open?
okay.
Okay.
The downtown P3 proposal does not require any public park components, so that's why
Okay.
referendum's not required in this
I see.
particular.
So it's the park component.
Correct.
Okay.
It's the park component that it's a county requirement that has a referendum requirement. if
Only
there's
for
any-
parks.
It's only for parks.
So Mocha does not qualify as a park. So we could use any other public, and I want to be clear on this. So any other public facility that's not a park, and we would not need a referendum.
Correct. There would be no referendum requirement.
Got it. Okay, perfect. That answers that question. So the next question, I think that's you, Madam Manager, or Mr. Estrada. Mr. Estrada.
What is the question?
Oh, the question was, we were able to put out the 9 acres, stating that we would,
Without
change.
Yeah.
without the
Yes,
zoning
we
but
could-
change.
yeah, we
delivery,
would
the
change it.
delivery method is different,
Mhm.
so it's not the same delivery method. So the P3 is a public-private partnership.
Mhm.
That's based on the consultant's recommendation. The
The other one
is not a P3.
What
It's
is
not a-
it?
It's just an RFP out for a developer to propose their own private development on that space.
But
That's
I
public
thought
land,
I
right?
thought it's a partnership with us, because we're not giving them that lane just like that, because there's some component that they will have to give to us as the city. Isn't that what makes it a
So, no, the P3 has the finance, the design, the operation, and the maintenance component. That's not the component of the RFP in
okay,
the other.
I'm
But I
lost.
don't know how much can be spoken of it, because it did get released, so.
Yeah,
I
well,
would
yes,
look to-
not that one, but I'm way lost now. So with this, whatever we're doing here, or whatever what we want to do over there, so it's not a P3, Mr. Estrada?
Through the manager, Mr. Vice Mayor, no, it's not.
So what is it?
In fact, whatever the developer proposes here, or the firm, whatever they propose is entirely
at their expense. In other words, the city will not be responsible to reimburse them in any way or to finance any of those costs. They will be entirely at their sole cost.
Okay, so to educate probably me and some of the public here. So if they doing that, it's all up to them, and we are saying you could use our land. So there won't be no signing agreement that we agree that you will pay for everything, but yet you're giving us all this. We agree with that. So what is that called?
Well, essentially, the various proposals that they can submit would be either to enter into a long-term lease with the city for that property, similar to the Solomia property, or that they would propose, which again would have to come back to council and so forth, a proposed purchase of the vacant site, the vacant parcel, right?
You said a what?
The proposed purchase of the vacant parcel. This is one of the alternatives, right? One of the alternative proposals. Or it could be any other sort of alternative development that they would propose. Now, any of those three alternative development models, right, would have to be submitted to the council for your approval. But whichever one of those models that they are proposing will be entirely at their own expense, at their own cost.
I understand that. I'm trying to find out in layman's term, simple as a elementary school teacher, what is the definition of a P3 project? Is it the financing component that makes it a P3, or is it a partnership between the city and the developer? What is that in your, as the director of our purchasing, what is the definition?
Well, I'm only, I'm the purchasing director, but
yes, sir.
Certainly I'm not a planner.
No, I know you're not a planner,
an attorney.
but you could wait. No, we don't want the attorney. You now.
I appreciate the trust in me. Sometimes I think I stand up here. You all think I'm an engineer, an architect, a planner, an attorney,
a baseball player.
I was going to say baseball player.
But I'm
you
none
are
of those,
our expert. You are our expert for tonight.
I just sometimes I pretend to be one just so
Yeah.
I can get it approved. But yeah, there's a basic difference. Keep in mind, for instance, that the P3 project, the one that we're talking about, involves these public facilities, right, that are going to be provided to us through this public-private partnership.
The same thing with the other one. So what's the next requirement?
Well,
Let's go next one.
In the other scenario, right? In the other scenario, what we're asking for is certain improvements to our existing facilities, right? And in addition to, in order to the city to allow them to use the vacant parcel and to develop the vacant parcel, right? That they would be providing some of these improvements to our facilities, to our current facilities. But the city will not be responsible for the cost of any of those improvements or development.
We got all that.
With regards to the P3, the city will be responsible, and you mentioned it earlier, for these what's called availability payments, right? And essentially, that's how the city, in the long term, will be able to pay back for the funding of these new facilities, the new city hall, a new ancillary parking, right?
If you allow me just one tiny minute, I'm going to. Okay, I'm just trying to understand. So the public-private partnership, in your professional opinion, only based on financing.
Well,
I just want to hear that clear.
Well, financing.
Well,
is,
that's what you say.
No, financing is a part of it.
Well, that's
financing
what I thought.
is a part of it, but it has other components that are important, that are part of that partnership, right? Again, the public-private partnership of it.
Yeah, I would, and I'm not a professional planner or a purchasing director, I would totally disagree with you. I would think that, and I don't know if the consultant is on the phone, I would say a public-private partnership is any time that you have a partnership. Now, it could be various different things that included, but if we are asking somebody, we shaking hand and we have a sign that this is a partnership that I'm having between the city and a public entity, I would think that would qualify under that. Now, other terms would be, but if you're saying solely, we paying or we giving any developer some money. That's the private partnership. That's the definition that we boxed in. That's where I get it.
May I,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, may I chime in if I could? This is
Yes.
Jose Davil again from WT. I think that, to frame this a little bit better, I would like to explain a little bit, the scope of the RFP that's out, and that's going to be public information. This is not anything that is under the cone of silence at this point. And then I would like to also explain the scope of the real estate project, what we're calling the real estate project. The city hall is going to be delivered through a public-private partnership, as we've been talking about here. Essentially what that entails is that the new city hall will be designed and built by a private entity. The capital cost of that building is going to be financed by that private entity and by lenders. And then that same building is going to be operated and maintained by through a long-term agreement, which I think in this case would be 30 or 35 years. After the building is completed, the building during design and construction will be subject to all inspections by statute and everything that applicable law will require. So the building will have to be built to meet code. And we, in addition to that, develop some performance specifications designed to allow the building to not only meet code, but also exceed code. On the tail end of that, the availability payment that we are talking about, that is a payment that the city will do to the private entity that is operating and maintaining the building. However, the reason why it is called an availability payment is because this private entity that is under a contract with the city has to ensure that the building and every portion or aspect of that facility is available for its intended use. In other words, available for you to conduct your city council meetings, for the public to come into the new city hall and conduct their business. And then what we do is that we set a set of key performance indicators to ensure that the building is available, contractually speaking.
Yes.
If the building or any portion of the building is not available, then a deduction to that developer will be taken out of that availability payment.
Okay, and I
So
think,
it's not a free building, and that's where the partnership comes in.
I think we do got that, but it's one point that you just talked about, like a new city hall. How do we know the public want a new city hall? We don't have the marketing component. How much is going to cost? Do they need a new city hall, or they want to repair that one? What do we need? There's a lot of things that the marketing campaign, the marketing aspect will have those answers based on surveys, based on conversation with the public, with the homeowners association, and all those things. That and the P3 clearly stated that the public gonna pay for it. You have to explain it to them, and you have to sell it to them. We don't have that, and that should start since we hired the first consultant, and I don't think we're there yet. And now people are asking about rezone the city hall and everything, and I don't know if you, if we're done, can I?
Yeah,
Motion
can
to
we motion
defer?
to yeah.
Okay. Second, you do second?
Do we want to continue it to a date certain, or just
ready.
Whatever you wanna do.
So,
Is there a proposal?
a motion that we continue this until such time as staff can bring back a PR plan.
I second that.
Yeah.
Agreed, thank you.
Thank you. And
Madam Clerk?
I have a question. The ones that were, the two unsolicited proposals that we have, that we received, I know we threw them out, that went to the
No,
CRA.
let's finish with the vote, then
Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
will ask the question.
I have a motion to continue the item until staff returns to council with a PR plan for the item at tab H. This motion was made by Councilman Galvin, seconded by Mayor Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Councilman Salate, go.
Yeah, the reason why I asked about the two unsolicited proposals that we received prior to prior to us going through the RFP process is because I want the public to, I guess this is the question for Jennifer. Can we release those? That's public information, correct? Like if I wanted to like talk about that in a public meeting, the two unsolicited proposals that we received. I think the CRA received them.
I'm actually not aware of the unsolicited proposals or the content of it, so I'm not able to opine on that at this
Okay.
moment.
If there's any been rejected, can,
If it's been rejected
Yes.
if it's been rejected, then at this point it would be open for public
Okay.
consumption.
I just wanted to put that out.
become,
Yeah.
become public record, right, at this point?
If it has been
Rejected, it has
formally
been.
rejected by the city, it is no longer
We haven't, the city did not receive
The CRA.
the
approval.
CRA. Okay, so I actually can't opine on
Yeah.
a CRA.
Okay.
Right,
Item.
and I was
That's
gonna
something for the CI, okay.
No, I
Thank-
just wanted to ask that question because I do want to share that with the public so that, because that came before we even had these conversations, that this P3 was way before we got to this juncture. And there were some proposals that said, hey, they'll sell City Hall back to us for $1. And just to kind of show the different. Yeah.
We're selling it?
No, I'm saying that they will give a City Hall back for $1. That's what it would cost us for a new City Hall. And that there's different approaches to this where the availability payment is not so high. It's $1 for a City
That's
Hall.
why we need that
That's why that marketing
aspect,
piece is
and that's one of
needed.
the first thing to.
And if we can get that going, Mr. Lorfields and City Administration.
Thank
But-
you thank you
no,
very
no.
much. We're
Yeah,
gonna
sorry.
have, doing, your report, you can ask all those questions. Now let's do citizen forum,
Well, no, well, we have tab I.
top I.
But
So
It's
there would
both.
need to be a motion because I
you
only
wanna-
took the vote on tab H.
The same thing.
Move to continue tab I.
second.
I have a motion to continue tab I made by Councilman Galvin, seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Do you need the same for tab J? I'm just making a
The
I
same thing,
have a
but you
motion
didn't
to
read it.
continue tab J,
You're on
Yeah.
the roll.
made by Councilman Galvin, seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Citizen forum,
William Prevotel, 12,000 North Bay Shore Drive. Wanted to come up early so I could pick up after what we just discussed.
If we,
The more you think about it, the more
if we
fret.
move to continue, let's not.
I have my citizens forum. I could talk as I
Absolutely.
wish, right?
Absolutely.
I could get into the whole Republican things of being fascists. I could do that. I can go on for 2 minutes there.
You can call me whatever
They're
name
taking
you
our
want,
country
Bill.
down.
You can call me whatever name you want, Bill.
Not
and
you,
then when we
not
come
you.
to, honestly, I mean, let's not flog the horse.
Okay, can
but
I get my
I
time-
respect your time to,
May I
and
get my
point of
time
personal
restarted,
privilege, please extend in 1 minute extra time to Mr. Prevotel, and
Thank
he
you very
may
much.
speak on any topic he
Thank
wishes.
you very much, Councilman Galvin.
Okay.
Thank you. No, I want to thank the council for having the insight to realize this was what was being proposed tonight. May work in the future, but right now this is wholly half-baked. And, you know, if you get something that's half-baked and you bite into it, you may get real sick down the line if it's not properly prepared. This is not properly prepared. It depends on your perspective. You know, as an architect, developer and such, I could see this site, I could do in 10 minutes, I could give you a full sketch for the whole site, and you could go, wow, that's gonna make a lot of money. We can make a giant J-shaped thing, we take down the existing buildings. Don't you think the economics of taking Mocha down at 1 story and putting up 15 and saying, we'll give Mocha 2 stories downstairs, bang, it's done. But you lose Mocha, you lose the nature of it. Don't you think that we could utilize the plaza and say, we're gonna build right over that? Oh, okay, you know what, you want a plaza? Okay, we'll bridge over it. But you lose the whole character. And it's also sort of lose control. And this needs to be something that if you want to go like a worldwide, nationwide or worldwide competition, please do that, and we should do that. I've tried to say in the past, there is a sort of a logical strategy for the civic mega block that we could have that would work, that would not allow us to, would not have to take down this building. We can reconstruct it on the same mega block, and therefore use this as an annex to Mocha, use it for overflow space, rent it commercially if we wanted, but it would still be civic use. And as I've said so many times before, the parking area to our east, it's such a win-win proposal. You go out and you contact brokers, commercial brokers, advertise it everywhere at almost no cost to bring us ideas. Any height, any density, you bring us ideas, it may not work. You have complete control whether you want it or not, and they give you the bottom line. This is what we could provide you. This is the money you'll get. You'll have money for a city hall, money for this, for that. It may be a little bit higher, a little bit this way, that way, but you could get hundreds of submissions where they foot the bill and you get all the rewards. And in the end, you could say absolutely no to all of it. It would be your call. Thank you.
You done? Yeah. You okay? Thank you. Public citizen forum, still open. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, district reports, if I might.
Yes.
Through you to the city manager, we had a discussion the other night about BZ zoning and continuing it potentially to the White House Inn. Is affordable housing allowed in the BZ zone?
There.
I would defer that to Mr. Cook, but I thought it is, but I do not want to answer that if I'm not sure. Mr. Cook?
Residential use is allowed in the BZ zone.
So, yeah.
Whether it's affordable, high-end, is immaterial. It's just that the use is what we consider.
Sure, but we got a lot of credit recently in the media, and we've done a yeoman's job of leading the charge of affordable housing in this city. I might be answering my own question. If the city wants to pursue an initiative to advertise the BZ zone to the community, wanting to get people to know that we have things available, that affordable housing could be built in the BZ zone? Let me rephrase my question. I'm interested in seeing affordable housing advertised in the BZ zone. Come to the BZ zone because we want affordable housing in North Miami. Is there any reason why we couldn't undertake that if I bring back a measure at a future council meeting?
So, as it's specific to the uses that you are allowed in the BZ zone,
Right.
residential, multifamily is allowed in the BZ zone. As to the specific, if we're going to advertise that we want to have affordable housing there, it's for you to take up with the mayor and council and the city
Okay.
manager if they want to take that
I'd like
initiative.
to ask that, and I'll speak with the management afterward, that we look at the ways that we would promote the BZ zone as an affordable housing district. You know, that would include incentives to build, for developers to come in and build all those different types of things.
So we currently have that, we just had our affordable housing committee meeting, we had two, and we were discussing different type of incentives that we could give to those who are building affordable housing. And I know our code currently states that if you are building, there's certain, permitting and you can fast track and so forth. So we're addressing those incentives and we're gonna bring it before council. So maybe that's one we can kinda, look into as
Okay.
well.
Can we,
I'll
Or
be
special
looking.
designations.
Do you have a timeline for when that's going to be brought back?
Albert?
No, but you always can come with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, if you're telling me it's coming back in the next meeting
No,
or
no,
two,
no.
I shut up. If you're saying it's still a ways off.
No, still a ways off.
Okay, then, Madam City Manager, let's schedule time separately to have the discussion about affordable housing focus on the BZ zone.
quick question with that, Madam Manager, if we could piggyback on that. Does that, how do we deal with the little issue that we have with, well, I guess that's Mr. Cook too, with our little problem with the bonus units that we need? Would we need to finish the report and send it and see if we could get, because that's our problem, right?
We,
We don't have any more units?
so the plan is to have a study done and then submit to the state for additional bonus units.
Bonus unit.
That process has not progressed as timely as we would like, but it is currently being worked on. We had some difficulties regarding the scope, but we are working through that, and we should have an infrastructure study. The idea is that we should hopefully, it will be a little bit behind, but we are working towards that.
So it won't be in October.
It will not be in October.
Ooh.
Now, will it be with the comprehensive plan?
It does not, it will not make the comprehensive plan timeframe, but we can still submit to the state.
Okay.
Wow.
Councilman Galvin.
And then,
You've
thank
done
you,
your
Mr. Mayor.
report.
One last thing on a serious note, or a more serious note. I know the city council and members of our police department, our community, send our condolences to the Miami Dolphins on behalf of the family of Jason Jenkins, their senior vice president, who did a lot of community outreach and a lot of things with our police athletic league. He passed suddenly a week ago. So I send my condolences, and I'm sure everybody else up here does. So, God bless. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Your report? No report? Vice
Oh,
Mayor?
yes, I do. Go ahead, Councilwoman. Hmm? No, you go ahead. I'm trying to get my thing together, but go
Okay.
ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to invite North Miami residents with students ages 15 to 19 who would like to join the Youth Council. This is a great opportunity for young emerging leaders to learn about local government, advise the mayor and council on matters affecting the youth, as well as make recommendation to improve youth relations activities and program while receiving community service hours. So for more information, please go to northmiamifl.gov/youth council or call Patricia at 786-385-2576 for more information. And then the Get in Gear bike ride will make its official return September 10th. So join us as an experience, as we experience a scenic ride throughout the beautiful city of North Miami, and we begin at 8 a.m. And we meet here at Mocha Plaza. So looking forward to seeing you again on September 10th. You can bring your own bicycle, and helmets are required for participant under the age of 16. And I also would like for you guys to save the date that every year we have our Government Week from October 17th to the 23rd. And happy Labor Day. That's it. That's it for me.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Just real quick, Mr. Estrada, if you look at Wikipedia, and this is real quick, with the P3, it states a public-private partnership is a long-term arrangement between a government and a private sector institution, period. And then it goes into other details about financing, because you could do a private partnership with airports, with seaports, with it, not necessarily with money, but that is a component of it. I just wanted to put that out there in terms of that. Also, Mr. Pavitel, and we haven't spoken in a while, but my idea is exactly what you said. And I'm just throwing it out there because I don't want people to think that, and especially for my colleagues, I'm against, because no, I'm one of those folks. I grew up in this city, and the love that I have for this city, I don't think nobody could question that. But I also, I got to be a little bit, I don't want to use any word, but you got to be real when it comes down to it. It is a money factor. We don't have any money. And anytime we have to spend something, I always trying to see, hey, can we be creative? And that's why I say I'll lead the charge with the public in this and this and that in terms of adding, asking for a referendum, whatever the case is. However, there is another way. And Pavitel mentioned it. And because we tried it and we know that it actually worked. I don't know why, and I'll be leading that too. If we can, we have parcels. If we could leave this as is, and we say to the developers, not a manager, we're willing to give y'all whatever across the street, whatever y'all do, you guys come back and do similar to what we do over on the other thing. Give us the best proposal, but yet we want a new city hall where we don't have to pay nothing, and then you improve Mocha. And then whoever wants it, we think we could talk about, you could have that piece of land, And then we could talk about a partnership. Hey, do we want to share this, and that? Because we're giving them something. So I don't know why we talking about the availability payment, all this BS and this and that. People don't have no money. And it's not going to work. So if you guys want to go through all that and pay all that, it's fine. If we want to do something and something real, let's do it. Let's look at what we have. We have behind there, behind 125th Street, where we have this thing. We have a big parking lot. Let's say we could change that, and I don't think nobody will come here. And we say to the developers, all the developers, whatever acre that is, we'll give that to you. But in return, you give us a proposal of components of a city hall, and we need some improvement for MOCA, and if we need to help fundraise, whatever the case is, and touch the police department. But we keep our lane, and you guys have this. So if that's not a win-win, then I don't know what else is. So we don't get nothing, we don't lose nothing, and this and this. And now, based on the proposal, if we want to give a little something, or go out and get some money from DC, wherever we could get it, to do what we got to do for improvement.
DC Clerk.
You stop, Mr. Mayor. You heard that, Madam Clerk. But anyhow, I think that is we got to look at alternative approach to our situation. We want a city hall. We don't have the money. So, but we have something. So why don't we give that up, and in return, we ask these developers, if you want this piece of, I don't know how many acres that is. How many acres, Mr.
About 9. Vice Mayor, if I may interject
Yes,
just
yes,
a little
ma'am.
bit. So some of the parcels across the street are included in terms of the
The six-
entire
Yes.
proposal.
So we will separate.
And, yeah, and two, and that's why I asked about sharing the two solicited, because there is a question of availability of an availability
Availability payment.
payment, but that availability payment may be $1 depending on if we get the best proposal.
Honestly, there's
And
no in America.
No, and you also have to think about it. We did this for Chinatown when we upzoned Northwest 7th Ave, and now you
Everything
have
went
your
up.
first
You're right.
building getting ready to be erected
Mhm.
because you all, prior before me, made that change along 7th Avenue, and now you see your first
Jim Garrett is
development coming
happy.
down the pipeline. So what I'm saying is, I think it needs, and it's not even marketing, but the public needs to be engaged, and they need to be informed on what this is. They also need to understand what they're getting in return: a new city hall, expanded MOCA, a revised police department. Because I don't know if you know, the roof leaks it leaks over there when it rains.
Oh, God.
Like, no, it's pretty
We
bad.
just-
And we have rodents in our hallways right now. I don't know if you guys saw the rat traps that they have
No,
all
we
throughout City
know
Hall.
this is bad.
But no, and I'm saying that to say that this, we're getting ready to turn 100 years old. We know City Hall, this downtown area, is not a downtown.
No,
and
we know.
we have to invest in our infrastructure the same way we say, hey, we didn't have it for Wildcat, but we moved forward and we're finding the money. So the same way that we're making these investments in certain infrastructures, we have to make an investment within our home to say, hey, let's spur economic growth. Let's get this going. And I know for the 9 acres, I don't know I know it's under a cone of
we
silence,
can't-
but that's also going to continue to spur economic growth within our city. We have, residents moving, and other department
Yeah.
development is getting ready to come down the pipeline. And I understand that, hey, time's of the essence, but this is something that we all stood up here and said that we wanted to do. It is something that we told administration to move it and move it fast. Yes, they did drop the ball on the PR and the public relation. That was something that I've asked since day one, because that's the same reason the bond failed, because the PR came second. And that was a
And-
big deal, to the point where I even got written up because of that, because that's how upset I was when the bond happened, because it was disrespectful. We didn't inform the public until after the vote, until after we were getting ready to put it on the ballot. And I'm a resident here all my life, 32 years. And I wanted to see the city hall. Like, Sunkiss is shut down right now because of plumbing.
the roof is bad.
Like, our parks are closed, guys. Our city is falling apart. Playgrounds are rusted. Like, just take a look at our city right now. It's failing infrastructure. So if we don't do something bold, if we don't do something innovative, we sat up here and did nothing. For
No.
the future, it's not about me. It's about who's to come.
No, I understand that argument, but the thing is, we could set up here and make all the plan that we do, but when we do leave, as it's them who has to pay for it, or their kids or their grandkids.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. What I'm saying is that we need to have options. It cannot just be, because if you're saying that the availability payment that you have is $1 and this and that, I've been begging for me, and everybody was on board with that. I don't have any issues with it, but the first thing that I said, how much is this gonna cost? And they said they don't know yet, they don't have the answers yet. So all I'm saying is, I think everything, we all, and including the public, agree we need all of these things you're talking about. The question becomes, where does the money come from?
So
Somebody has to, yes,
Vice
ma'am.
Mayor, the problem that I'm having, and so you're bringing out some good points here tonight. However, we've been talking about this for a while, and you're just bringing them on tonight.
Oh, no, Madam
But
Manager.
we continued this item. Should we?
No, I know, but Scott, this is discussion.
In the way, no,
I hear you, but, you know.
questioned the process, but you didn't bring any options.
That is not, no, John, through the manager, because we had private meeting, you have not aware, Mr. Lawfield knows, I have not had many, meetings with the manager, but they have not been, and the consultant on the phone could tell you when I met with them, and I think Ms. Daniels, everybody was, I have always, Madam Manager, and I know you could, I have always, because I would not, that's one thing I do not do. I do not lie, or I do not forget.
I'm not
Or
saying
if I
that
do, no,
you
I know.
lied, Vice Mayor.
No,
That's
I
not
know.
what I'm saying. What I'm
I know,
saying
Councilwoman.
is, it is you from the beginning of us talking about P3, you had reservation. I am not
And
denying
and
that.
I've been saying
what I'm
we should
saying,
do, which is the public
this
thing.
is the first time that I've heard of any
No,
option.
because I can't communicate with you.
No, I'm saying, but when we're having,
we all
when
got
we
the
were
unsolicited.
having our
Yeah, we can.
P3, right, when we're having our P3 discussion and we said, well, we're gonna move on, I didn't hear any other option, and that's why a majority of us agreed. All I'm saying is those are good points, that's fine, but now we need to also understand, and it cannot blame the administration when we're saying,
No, I'm not
we have
blaming-
timelines, we wanted to do it within a year. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
You said before
Councilman
May.
Timothy, Councilwoman Timothy.
May
We
2023.
we were like, are we gonna have this by this and by that? And
Yes.
so I just want us to realize that
But
now
I
we
knew
are.
it was four,
we are
and I'm
going-
one.
Right.
And I've spoken to Mr. Lawfield, who's the director of who's moving this forward. I think a couple weeks ago, John, I think we had a conversation, sir. I mean, are you afraid to, John, right? Okay, I mean, I had all the long, I haven't talked to you guys, but I think the short time that the manager incurred, but the last time that we had a discussion, the manager, I think the assistant manager, as a matter of fact, during that meeting, Ms. Daniel, I told the consultant with them, I said, I'm not on board on this until I see the financial thing of this. And I said, how much is this thing? And they said, did not know. It was less than a month ago. I said, John, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what's going on, but y'all got to be careful, because I've seen this thing before, because the public, and he could tell you if I'm lying, and I was going in my car, and I call him. Cause and y'all gotta know, because North Miami is in my blood. I'm saying this, please, we all want the same thing. These people are going crazy when they see the price, because we don't even know how much it's costing. So how do we, if it's 200 million, so what we gonna say? We don't know. It's not that they don't want it, but they have to know if we're gonna ask them for it. And I say, John, if we could do something, whatever that we do, to let the people know if they're with it,
Maybe what we
but I
could do
think-
is maybe give some scenarios. Like,
think,
can they come up with scenarios? Because I know, like, for instance, Mo could put their wish list out there. They want a $30 million or $40 million building, not necessarily not knowing what they will get in that proposal, but everyone has, like, a need, right? We said we need
everyone has
20,000
it.
square foot, and this
yeah.
is what it would cost. So maybe if we can put some scenarios, so this is for the PR company, so that they can show people, hey, if you get a $20 million museum or $40 million city hall, and it costs the city $100 million, but they're able to make $200 million because they're going to build how many residential units. Now we're offsetting that availability payment, because now the developer can make more money because of how much land we made available for them to develop. So if the developer can, give us some scenarios. I think Lisa is someone good who does outreach for P3s, so that the community can understand. And then another component that I definitely say we should include is called infrastructure grants. And that's where the public gets to buy the bonds from this project, and now they're making money off of this project.
but
So there's all
Councilwoman,
these opportunities, but it needs to
Councilwoman
be
Timothy, I understand that, but the point is, we don't have the marketing component to sell it to the public.
I had a conversation last month about it. Where is it?
No, that's
I
you,
know, I'm
but I'm
just
talking about
saying.
the pub. That's mean the
Yeah.
public. You have to sell it to the public, and they have to buy it
No, so
because
that's-
they are going to pay for it. And in
If
all the
there's a payment.
P3 conferences, that's one of the first steps. While you are in a financial consultant, you're doing that. At the same time, you gotta have those people out there talking to the resident and explain them everything
No, I
from A
agree.
to Z.
No,
That's
I
what
agree.
we don't have. And it's not like they say they don't want it. They don't know anything about it.
Agreed.
And
I
it's,
feel-
we're not gonna just sit down. If we're gonna do workshop, we're gonna have 7 people. Then that company gotta go out there and making sure they find the people and talk to them.
No, I agree.
That's the part. That's the missing part.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I did have a report.
Yes.
On September 24th, we are starting a computer class, and it's going to be for seniors. It's going to be for those who may need help. You know, it's geared towards the seniors, and there's going to be translation available in Creole and Spanish. But there's going to be 2 sessions on. It starts Saturdays, the 24th. Paul maybe can talk about it more.
What location at the library?
It's going to be at the library, the North Miami Public Library. There'll be 2 sessions, so that people can learn basic computer skills, to find jobs. But yeah.
Thank you very much. And are we done with reports, Madam Clerk?
Yes, so, good evening, everyone. Just want to remind everyone that the general elections are coming, so if you are not already registered to vote, please make sure that you register to vote. Make sure that if you would like to vote by mail, you request a vote by mail ballot through the supervisor of elections. And for more information, you can go to northmiamifl.gov/votes. I want to thank Dr. Stephanie Thomas for stepping in the gap. Many of you know what's been happening, and a lot of you have, reached out and asked me how you can help. But of course, I don't want to pull you from your responsibilities here. But Dr. Thomas, thank you so much for stepping in the gap and for being our acting deputy clerk. And I appreciate the administration, Anisha Daniel, our assistant city manager, Teresa Theralis, our city manager, for making that happen, because it's a huge feat. And today, it makes 7 years since I became an immigration attorney. And I just realized that while I was actually sitting on the dais that it had been 7 years. And as I reflect, I think I'm so blessed to be able to serve the people that I do. And the reason I decided to, mention this is because we're right now seeing a huge influx of individuals from all around the world coming into our country, into our neighborhoods. And I really see this as an opportunity. It's really, truly an exciting time. This is an opportunity for us to welcome our neighbors in ways that we never did before. I think this is an opportunity for us to really show who we are as human beings. And most importantly, as developments are happening, not only in North Miami, but all over Miami-Dade County and South Florida, this is an opportunity to tap into a labor force. And so, I'm just really proud of the fact that I've been able to do things like get hundreds of people liberated from detention, cross the border, to be able to educate families about the immigration process. To this point, I've probably helped naturalize at least 3,000 eligible lawful permanent residents. I've done a lot, and I've done it in partnership with people actually in this room. So folks like Michael McDearmade and the Knights of Columbus, right? Pierre French Charles at Notre Dame, Vanessa Pierre has always donated. And so I just think that, I'm extremely blessed to do this work, and I think I'm even more blessed to serve this community. And I just thank you all for always constantly supporting me in just about everything that I do. I'm just so great. Oh, yeah, and LB Nova, how can I forget the support that, we get through you. So thank you all so much. And I hope to, be elected for 7 years, because 7 is the number of divine perfection. And I have never in my life felt like I've been doing exactly what I was called here to do. So thank you all so much for indulging me.
Thank you very much. Madam Deputy City Attorney.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Madam City Manager.
No report.
Move to adjourn.
Madam Deputy City Manager.
Police Chief.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn made by Councilman Galvin, seconded by Vice Mayor Desilme. We are adjourned at 8. Any opposed? We are adjourned at 8:37 p.m.